We want to welcome you to Focus on Liberia. This is another brand new edition of our today's program. In this edition of our show, we have Abraham Doedeh. Mr. Doedeh is a supporter of Kennedy Darius Dillion. We are in the final stages of the campaign, and we reach out to Mr. Doedeh, who consented that he's going to come here and make the final push and give his take on why he believes that Darius Dillion is the man and he deserves to retain that seat and provide better representation for the people of Massarato County. I'm Anthony C. hosting, and welcome to our program. This is a primetime edition of our program here at Focus on Liberia. We will be looking at Darius Dillion, who he is, who he has been, his political work, and what differently he will do. Is he the one that can beat Thomas Father, the strong man of the CDC? Abraham Doedeh is telling me, see, Dillion is the man, and Dillion is the man. And so we will find out in this interview. Let me now take this time to welcome my guest, Mr. Doedeh. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. I'm glad to have you. Happy Sunday, my friend.
Well, thank you so much, Anthony. It's a pleasure being here. I'm elected to be here. According, I spent this Sunday, on the date of our launch in Liberia, to be able to spend the time with you and, have some good time telling our audience back here in the States and around the world who Dillion is and how we arrive at this point. And we're about to elect him for the second term, for the second time in most water counties, as a senator in most water counties. So I'm happy to be here, and I hope we can have a very full discussion. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so very much. And we can emphasize how glad we are. This is the final push. Yesterday, we have a supporter of Thomas Fowler, Mr. Macaulay Willer, who came here and made the final page for his candidate that he supports. He having to be a sedition, by the way. And you are here to do similar for Darius Dillion. And we want to know, I know Dillion now, to his credit, is a household name in the Liberian political sphere. But some people sometimes just hear the name without knowing his political profile. To the best of your knowledge, who is Darius Dillion politically?
Well, thank you for the question. That was the one. We just put it simply. It's a humble Christian, humble Liberian. Happy to have been happily married for the past 30 years. Uh, with with for beautiful family. And grew up in Grand Bassa, came to Monrovia, went to school, West Heston, graduated. And so being involved with advocacy, being involved with issues that matters to the Liberian people from his upbringing. Of course, he spent a lot of time in the church in his humble beginning, and he played a lot of different instruments in the church. So, Darius is just a very humble young man who is very passionate about what he put himself in, what he gets into. So, just to give you a brief background of who he is, he's a very dedicated Christian, married a family man. Very, married to his wife, his house, his old-time sweetheart, and with a beautiful family. So that's just exactly who Darius Dillion is from the background as a family man. I think what Darius brings to the table is the level of honesty he brings to the debate and the level of honesty he brings to the debate and his his I would like to say his expertise, probably, with the little time he spent in the legislature, and his just dedication to see a transformative Liberia, and his advocacy over the period, in any leadership role that one has or one has occupied, your your records, kind of speak for you. So there are a lot of good candidates in the race. For instance, Val is a very good candidate. But I think the message that Darius brings to the table resonates with the Liberian people, and that of course, not just the message, but he has put himself in a position where the people have got to trust in the process. So um, it's just, so he just, his messaging and his level of honesty to the process in the electoral process just kind of sets him apart from all the other different candidates.
Thank you so very much. So let's come to the office. You know, understanding the role of a senator sometimes gets debatable when it shouldn't. Darius have been there. There are his critics who see him as not having deeper understanding of the roles and responsibility of the office he occupies, for which he's seeking re-election. Do you share that view or not?
No, I don't. I really don't. Of course, we're going to have people. We're going to have oppositions who are going to, have their own narrative about, his inexperience. He's been there for a year and so forth and so on. But they've not asked themselves why. He has been there for just a year, but Liberians across the country and in the diaspora continue to continue to support him in the process of his all of the messages he put across. They continue to support him, to continue to stand by him, And so I don't understand when people say, he doesn't have an experience. I don't know what are their own definition of experience to go in the house and join the clique of people who Stephen Liberian people or who will pass bad laws or who do not care about the well-being of Liberian people in terms of policy and decision making, but rather would staying there for decades like Thomas Fowler and taking the Liberian people for taxpayer, and at the same time, use the taxpayer money, go do personal wealth, and then turn around and say he's a good legislator. So I don't understand when people say he's new. This man has been there 1 year, but all that he's done, not a single representative as far as my history is concerned. Not a single representative or a senator in Liberia history has ever done that. Not a single representative or senator in my history, as I've been around for a long time in the political process. I've not seen a representative or a senator who has demonstrated the kind of leadership he has demonstrated, kind of honesty he has demonstrated. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a sin. Like I always say in my posting, it's not a sin. It's never going to be a sin. But what he has demonstrated, what he has brought forth to the Liberian people, what he has presented is quite different. We've never seen it in our body politics before. We've
Mr.
never seen
Doedeh, Mr. Doedeh, I think his critics, what they are saying is that he's just making noise. That's the accusation that I hear. And sometimes that can be true to some of these things that people say about other people, right? So they are saying Darius Dillion, instead of legislating, he called himself the chichipole of the Senate. Every little thing happens in the Senate. He runs outside like a little boy and he's in front of the media and he's talking and he's just doing this just to earn himself a popularity that he will translate into something like a presidential run. And people are saying this is not how a senator, someone in the House of Elder, should conduct legislative activities. Your take?
well, if that formula you just outlined has not helped Liberia for the past 173 years, and he has instituted a new formula, a new variable, and the Liberian people tend to kind of embrace it. Let's try it out and see. That's the first point of it. The second part is that, listen, I don't understand when people say, the men's a chichipole. If the men's that In fact, he's proud, and we all are proud to see him as a good Chichipole. We have a good Chichipole in the national legislature that we see for the first time. We can know how much a legislature makes in the Senate. We can know what are the bills and in the Senate, what's happening there. We also know, some of the concessions, bad concessions, and some of the things that are happening in the Senate. That's a good. We love that kind of Chichipole because it helps to save Liberia. It helps at least to be able to provide the kind of opportunity, set the kind of set the country on a pathway that will be able to help our people for once to know that they live in a sovereign country. So it's not about the man said a Chichipole that he doesn't understand what's going on. If you have a good Chichipole, if you have somebody who can go in the Senate and come back outside and what is good, and listen, he has always said, everything that is good, I will support it. But everything that is bad, that hurts the country, I will bring it out and tell the Liberian people. And that's exactly what it should be. So I don't see you.
And Mr. Doedeh, may I interrupt you? It was Dillion who said he is a Chichipole. And so that's how people pick it up. And the issue about Chichipole is almost saying like he is this gossiper. And gossiping in the Liberian culture is not anything new. It has been around for so long, and it has not moved a needle in terms of our national development. So why, when it comes from Dillion, it will make any difference? That's the question I'm asking.
Good. The fact is that we've not had that kind of gossiper ever in the history of our country. I mean, as far as my history is concerned, as far as I'm concerned, I've been around for too long. So people have in time past, if people have done it, I'm yet to see somebody who have been a gossiper in the Senate, in the lower house. Mm-hmm. But since Dillion came to the national legislature, mm-hmm. he said that, and he has been a good gossiper in the interest of the country and its people. So for somebody to say, okay, this man, he's a gossiper, and people have gossip in time past, and gossip has not translated into concrete actions. That's hard to honest. That's hard to hear.
So Abraham Doedeh would rather have a gossiper as his senator, other than a senator who legislates, who's passing laws and providing oversight. Is that what I'm hearing?
Listen, no. Here's the thing. I would rather have a gossiper who is a legislator who understands his three cardinal responsibility of legislating, mm-hmm. rather than to have a gossiper who doesn't understand anything in the house there, sits there and collect that and taxpayer money, mm-hmm. And translate that into personal wealth. So that's two different things right there. You can have a man or you can have an individual who is a gossiper, and uses his gossip to translate into concrete policy actions that impact the lives of the country and its people. And they have another gossiper who doesn't like Joshua and Thomas Father, who says that they only gossip to each other and not in the interest of the Liberian people. So there could be people can look at it from different perspectives.
Mr. Doedeh, you are here to make a case for your candidate, and I see you throwing some cheap shots at the president of the republic and his candidate Thomas Fowler as gossipers who sit there and gossip to each other and don't bring any deliverables to the Liberian people. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, listen. I was just using that as an example in transition, right? Mm-hmm. But we like I said, Dillion have said over and over and again, he goes in the Senate to do what is right. And he always said it. If the president wants to do things in the interest of the country and its people, he's willing to work with the president. He's willing to work with anybody across the aisle to make sure that what is good for the country and for its people are adhered to or are put in policy action for the good of the country. But we have a country where people, for the first time in the history of our country, for you to have a candidate who said, listen, let's use the system. All of us in America, mm-hmm. we know how the system is. We know what the system does. We know the benefit that the system brings to the table. We know how our kids, even some who left from other countries and in the States here, we know how we are impacted by the system. We know how we benefit from the system. So Dillion has said, listen, it is now time that we see this systemic change in our country, mm-hmm. because it makes absolutely no sense in the morning, people who elect their representatives and senators leave in the morning about 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, sleepless night to go and wait for the senator at his house to beg him for $5, $10. It makes absolutely no sense. Why should Liberians be beggars in their home, in their own country, when you have gold, diamond, you have all of the resources in that country? It makes absolutely no sense.
All right.
We need to understand that, listen, we got somebody who has said, listen, for the first time in the history of the country, I'm prepared. I will tell you this, Anthony. I was afraid.
Let go to the cardinal responsibility. Hold on there. Let me stop you there. Let's get to the cardinal responsibilities of a lawmaker. I'm glad that you said them quite succinctly, a lawmaking oversight and something else. So let's get to them. Darius has been there for about 14 months now in terms of oversight, in terms of lawmaking. Let's start with lawmaking. 14 years, somebody might discount it as not being too of a long time, but enough to be able to at least write a bill and secure an overwhelming vote on it to pass it into law. Where has Darius been on this issue for which he should be re-elected?
Again, my brother, again to the audience, Dillion is the only person that I know of in contemporary political process, in contemporary political process, that made a campaign promise and were able in the short period were able to live up to were able to live up to the promise that he made to the Liberian people, right? So let's go to the direct question, okay, right? Cool.
Yeah.
Dillion, when he got in the Senate, right now he has a bill that is in committee room. We were hoping that they were going to pass it, or going to deliberate and pass it before the campaign. But of course, we know the bunch of the seditions not going to give an opportunity to have a flying color, so they kept in committee room. But he had developed a bill for us, for the Liberian Senate, to look at the pay scale, the salary of the legislator in the Senate, that they'll be able to make not less than not more than 500, not more than 5,000, sorry. Okay, so that at least the money that people make in the Senate, 15,000, 19, 11, 12,000, all the money they make with all the different benefits, that money can go into basic social services. It makes no sense in a country where a policeman carry $150 a whole month. Well, you myself can sit down here, I'll pay just one day time you go to work, and you depending on how much you make, you can make $150.
Doedeh, you are saying
so I'm coming. So that's one bill he has prepared, right? That's in committee room. And that bill is passed or is debated and passed, that bill can save Liberia millions of dollars to be able to go into basic social services. So when we ask for lawmaking, yes, he has put into work a bill at the Senate, and it's in committee room to be able to for deliberation and for subsequent passage.
Thank you so much. Before we get to one of the roles of a senator, which is oversight, you brought something earlier that Dillion is the only known candidate, to your knowledge, who was able to live up to his campaign promise. So let me bring that in quickly. And I'm sure about that you're referring about he's saying when elected, he will be able to tell the Liberian people how much senators are making. And he was able to live up to that campaign promise to his credit. I get that. But hey, Abraham, for somebody to say, oh, I will come and tell you how much I'm making. I mean, how does it help the people who are in dire need of economic relief in the country? How does that help? So, I mean, what kind of campaign promise is that?
Okay, so your question is in twofold. One is he made a promise, and he was able to live up to the promise. So that's good. Because not too often we see politicians make promises to the people when they're elected, and then after they get elected, and then they fulfill their promises. So of course the CDC is a classical example. They made a lot of promises, they have not fulfilled that. So they don't make his promise during a campaign promise, and he has fulfilled. The promise that he has fulfilled respect to the giving back to the county, taking 5,000, giving back to the rest, giving back to the county the rest of the money. What does it do to the people who don't have the meal on the table? What it does is that it helps that particular money. What he did was to put it, because they sent this the superintendent of the county, and he couldn't take his personal resources and give it to the county. I mean, give the superintendent. So he directed that particular resource, set up a county development council, and that money went through the development council, and that council was able to evolve other different projects across the country, across the county. So the development council were able to, the different districts in the Mosurado were able to develop, were able to earmark projects and let the council know, and then the council goes there along with the district, leadership, able to evolve a project and execute that project. So for the few 14 months he has been there for that particular, he has all the money that have been generated, he has given back to the county, they have been used for project implementation purposes. So that tells you that and those projects were able to impact the lives of people, because, for instance, on Nipo Street, the latrine that was built and the water pump that was also built for these people who didn't have it in the community over there at the mosques, they were able to now fetch from that particular place and be able to help themselves instead of looking for water go place. So all of the money that he gave back to the county has been able to impact the county and Liberians one way or the other.
Let's come to oversight. One of the roles of a senator is to provide oversight, to hold government appointees accountable in the discharge of their duty for the betterment of the Liberian people. Tell me specifically, what has been Dillion's role in providing oversight at the Senate for the 14 months he's been, for which he should deserve re-election?
Oh, like I said, Dillion is not a saint, though he has lived up to the promise, and that's one of the things that he done. He come to oversight. Dillion has written almost 5 different letters. When he got to the Senate, he started exposing what goes on in the Senate. He started bringing to the fore what happens in the Senate. Dillion was able to write 5 different letters, right? One of the letters he wrote was inviting the security sector, right? Because that's part of oversight. When there's issues happening in the country, especially in your county, and that you understand what is happening there in the county, and you were able to, convince your colleagues to say, listen, we got to invite the policy, the decision maker, or those persons who preside over a particular agency to come and give us reasons why this is happening, and they come and provide that reason. That is providing oversight. So Dillion was able to write a letter to the security. Because the killing of going in the country, people mysterious, different thing, there's insecurity in the country. Dillion was able to do a letter, convince his colleagues, they were able to invite members of the security sector to come to the Senate and answer questions. Of course, you and I know what they ended up into. I mean, the seditions didn't want to, give the opportunity. They thought it was being a boost for Dillion's campaign or whatever his candidacy. So that went into fiasco. Of course, that happened between Sir Joseph and Yomli Kanga, But again, besides that, Dillion was able to write another letter to the Minister of Education. He wrote a letter to the Minister of Education because you are not, Anthony, in this country, you go to a school, every year our kids go to the school, we see the improvement in the schools here. You see there are different laboratory, or the science lab, or there are different labs, there are different programs and activities that we carry out in those schools. Built in those schools, or the school, or library, other things have been built, or there have been improvement in different areas in the school system here, for which probably will be an increase in tuition. But in Liberia, it's a whole different situation. Every year, people they increase what school fees and all those kinds of things. Right now, you must say, some of us who here, we got to send $1,000 home to be able to pay school fees and all those kinds of things. But when you see the environment the kids are sitting in to learn, it doesn't even worth a school, it doesn't worth a campus, it doesn't even worth a school classroom. So as a result of that, Dillion said, listen, we got to invite the Minister of Education to come there and provide and tell us why, there's a hike in the tuition, and why, the parents are paying that high tuition. And if there's a worth, it is a justification for that, that's okay. But if there's no justification for increasing the tuition and fees, and then people just pay money to them without seeing any tangible that they've done in the schools for the fiscal year, then there's no need for that. So they were invited. Of course, he came, and then just as a result of that letter, the Ministry of Education did a survey across the country, not just in Mosurado, across the country, and were able to make sure that people were being fined. According to the Ministry of Education, all the people who are not increasing tuition, if they don't take it justifiable reasons for reasons they have increased tuition, will
So,
be fine. And
so
so the base of
Abraham, in
so these are
short,
these are
in
all
short,
oversight. These are all oversight responsibility that he has executed, he has carried out since he being in the Senate.
thank
And
you.
nobody else
So,
has done it.
so in short, you think the level of oversight he has provided is enough for him to deserve re-election? Yes or no?
Absolutely, yes.
All right.
If you got a man who if you got a man in 14 months who had just done just everything that he's promised, and just everything he's promised, and then doing even more than what he has promised, there's no better than that. That's why you see the people saying, the people are saying, listen, we don't want money from anybody else. We want Dillion. You know why? Today I was elected today. I mean, I just been bursting out with tears today because you know and I will compare this, and before I just close up, before you come to the next question, Anthony, for the first time, you remember when Taylor 2 times I can compare when Taylor was coming to power, when Taylor was coming when Taylor was coming to from Banga and coming to Morovia,
Mhm.
that crowd that people saw and people were crying, you know, charity and so forth. That's the first time. First time after then, it's today that I saw that crowd today in Liberia. The second time was George Weah. But George Weah, the election, not just going election, the first election,
Mhm.
people, the crowd that we saw, the love that the people were showing to George Weah and President Excelson Taylor, those were things that people did because the people believed that they would have been a change agents. Today, I see that. And guess what? My friend Ben Sanvi said one time, he said, when he was endorsing President George Weah, the second round,
Mhm.
he said, George Weah, I'm giving him my support. But if you don't do what the people want you to do, the love you see here today, you will see it no more. I'm just paraphrasing it.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you so very
So
much.
yeah, so I'm just telling you what it is, you know, and that what he's done, you know, over the period, just within the space of 14 months, what he's done. And so that just kind of speaks to the fact that our people are just tired and they know exactly what they want to come.
Thank you so very much. Abraham Doedeh, Mr. Doedeh is a supporter of Darius Dillion, and he's here making his final pitch for his candidate and the candidate of the CPP. Yesterday, we have Mr. Macaulay Wule, who came and also made the final pitch for the CDC strongman Thomas Fowler. Thomas Fowler, he has a uh, challenge here a lot against Darius Dillion. Dillion was able to beat the CDC candidate in the recent election in Monserrato County. That was Paulita where she got flawed. And when we had my colleague yesterday, I said something that was completely wrong. I said that Darius Dillion had won uh, Paulita with about 300,000 votes. That was wrong. I actually meant about 30,000 and I said 300,000. And my colleague tried to correct me and I was stuck somewhere for some reason. And so I want to clarify that here. Dillion won the CDC candidate Paulita with about 30,000 and not 300,000. And it's good that my colleague is watching. I went, I did my research and I realized I was wrong and I want to make that clarification. So let me progress. Let's come to the issues in Liberia, Abraham Doedeh. When an individual understands what is at stake, chances are that they will be able to do better and speak better and fight better because they know what is at stake. The fact also remains people tend to know the things that are at stake, but when they get there, they don't do the right thing. So my question is, does Dillion understand what is at stake here in this country, Liberia?
You know, I will answer the question this way. Well, I think he understands. I think he understands, right? I think he understands that what is at stake. Because when I speak with him, when I talk to him, and I would just say that for the first time on this platform, every time I remind Dillion, I go here inbox when I call him and he answers, I answer when we talk. I tell him because I tell him, I say, listen, Taylor and George Weah, the popularity that they had, the love that Liberian people demonstrated towards them. I see you in a same footprint. I see you, people are taking onto you, loving you, doing the things that they never did before. People taking their own money, going to you and giving you money and doing these things. It's not for nothing. Cherish the moment that you have. Don't take it for granted. Do not abuse it. I'm just telling you for the first time. I talked to him as a friend, as a brother. When I called him, when I texted him, saying a text, and we talked. I said, this is an opportunity. Too long Liberians have suffered. It makes absolutely no sense for people to be in their own country and they don't even see themselves as a as living in a sovereign country. So the Lord has told him over and over, and I guess he understands that because he said, Doedeh, I can, and he's always his words to me, I cannot afford to fail. I cannot afford to let these people down because I know what is at stake. I just cannot afford. Even when he came to the States here, I had a conversation with him and I told him, he said, in the person of my wife, he said, listen, I just cannot afford to let these people down. I know what is at stake. So I'm saying, I understand he knows what is at stake. But if he gets there, that's another thing, right? Like you said, to the question, to the core of the question. If he gets there, that's another thing. Because politician, when you can get lost, like the case of George Weah and ex-president Taylor, did something different. When they got there, they got the opportunity. It became a whole different scenario, right? It became a whole different experience.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
let me just conclude.
Yeah.
But I can say that there's a difference between Dillion and George Weah and ex-president Taylor. There's a complete contrast between the three, individuals. So I can say yes, I know he understands it, and he knows what is at stake, and he gets it. And so I think he's going to do better. But let's be elected back to the Senate and beyond the Senate.
Thank you so very much. And it is important. I want to emphasize that candidates know what is at stake here, and I'm glad that you said it quite correctly. These people will be elected, they come to power. I have serious problem with CDC in terms of the contradiction that we see, with
Yep.
respect to governance. These are our friends, we all were in the neighborhoods together, we went to schools together, we sat in the corners and in the darkness together, and yet they are even telling us to shut up because
Okay,
they are in power.
Anthony, let me just squeeze you a little bit.
Okay.
Listen, some of us, like I'm one person who advocated for the cities. I was right here. I call people back home. I pay my own resources, and people got elected. I mean, we probably elected George. So it's no question about what are they so forth. But I was shocked. It seems that up to this point, the guy had complete different motive for taking the leadership of our country. Complete different motive, and here is why. Immediately after the elections, when the guy started making some errors, making some errors, we try to remind them. We try to say, listen, you know what is at stake. We try to remind them through the inboxes, call them. Before the elections, they were calling all 24/7. We were talking, having conversation about how to, the country.
Right.
But after the elections, when you test the guys in the inbox, they will just read a message. They care less to even say, oh yeah, it making sense. I'm like, but he can it just said no different. It became a whole different experience right after the elections and stuff like that. So, hey, for me, I understand exactly what it is, but I know they don't understand exactly what is at stake, and he prepared to go for the ride.
Thank you so very much. This is the role I have chosen to contribute to my country. I will be right here when Dillion is fortunate enough to get that 9 years and see whether he will be able to not only talk the talk, but that he will be able to walk the walk. Let's come to something I call keeping your words. Politicians make promises, they talk the big talk, but when it is time to walk the walk, they don't walk the walk except to give excuses. Darius Dillion has been talking and talking and talking. Let's see if he has been able to keep his words, because this is one of the issues upon which people will decide to vote him again or to say no. Number one, Darius Dillion, and let me show this to our audience here. Let me show this, and I hope I have it. Yes, I have it. And yeah, it is. Darius Dillion, it was on August 11, 2015, and he wrote this at 4:32 p.m. Dillion wrote, I have been reliably informed that the legislature has made final arrangements to purchase a fleet of 103 Nissan Patrol SUVs, one for each lawmaker from the just passed national budget, even though we gave each of them transportation reimbursement allowance last year and every budget here. USD 45,000 times 103. You can do the math. I am Doedeh, and not good at math. Now, let's see who or how many among them will reject Diaz in the interest of the masses. That was Darius Dillion then before becoming a candidate. When Dillion was elected, the $45,000 he talked about, there was a brand new car sitting right there at the doorstep waiting for him. Abraham Doedeh, to his credit, who happened to be a supporter of Dillion, told Dillion on his Facebook post, do not take that car. Dillion took that car anyway. Abraham Doedeh is right here before me and is still campaigning for Darius Dillion. Are you keeping your word? Is Dillion keeping his word, Mr. Doedeh?
Right, let me just say this. Let me answer the question this way. Mm-hmm. So this is one fundamental issue. This is one thing that I had that discussed with Dillion, and I had issue with Dillion about. I made my Facebook page and I made it very clear, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And there were two sides to it, right? Mm-hmm. When after I posted something and Dillion called me and we had a conversation about it. Mm-hmm. He said, Doedeh, listen, if anybody, this is thing that I met here, and they already raised the voucher, they already made the payment and everything else, and I met the car here. If Jeremy Doedeh in the past, she would have used the car, but the car is here. So, and I can't, if I return the car, if I return the car I felt, in my opinion, that you should return the car. That's what I felt. Mm-hmm. But he said, Doedeh, listen, if what has happened, I met the car over there, so I needed to use it. But if people would, if I turn the car over and people can be able to say, well, we gave you a car, I will turn the car back, I will get the car back to the legislature. But again, like I said, Dillion is a human being. Like I said, from the beginning, he's not a saint.
You are justifying in your Facebook post. You didn't justify. You were direct and say,
listen,
do not take the car.
I'm coming. I said, I'm a team. I feel that he should have returned the car. I still, up to this day, I still stand by that. He should have returned the car to the national legislature and took a small car. I'm maintaining that, and I still stand by that. I'm not going to take my words. No, I'm not going to take it. I said to him, when he called me and we had a conversation about it, I told him, I said, send the car back. If Liberians in the diaspora will raise money for you to buy your car, but then his network in the state was not that strong as yet. Okay, so you say, Doedeh, if you can raise some money and buy me a car, I will turn the car back. I will turn the car over. I call 1 or 2 persons around the place for the see how to raise it.
That have even been a condition, Mr. Doedeh. Because
I'm saying, listen.
Condition he said, and let me remind you, besides the Facebook post, Dillion had another Facebook post in which he said that he will never ride a $45,000 car. He would rather buy a used car far less than what the legislators were taking. He said that. So this is the man now who could not even stand by his own words, but ate his own words. Why should he be taking the
No, Antonio, let's get it straight, right? Like I said, let's get it straight, right? Dillion, some of us as supporters, and you should be able to give her some credit. We do these things, people look at the other side of it, right? When we do these things, people don't give her the credit. Give people the credit. When we criticize Dillion as supporters, he take that in good strides, right? And then at the end of the day, he makes recommendation or suggestion about how we can move forward. That is a hallmark of a leader. There's some people, they get in the Senate, they feel complacent about what is being done in the Senate. Dillion would have easily said, you know what? I go in the Senate, all the pop and patronage in the Senate, I'll form part of it. This issue of the car, I've made my position very clear on it. And Dillion has justification with respect to what the issues were at the time. I gave you a pass on that. Because what he provided to me then, that listen, this car already been bought. I met it there. It was Jeremy Doedeh. It was already passed. I had the opportunity. I would have turned it over, but I didn't have any vehicle at the time to use. So I had to be able to do my work and do what I needed to do. Notwithstanding, I still think as a supporter, as a co-supporter, as a friend, brother, you should have turned the car over. So, but in the issue of the car, we far beyond that, right? The car has been months ago, right? But can we compare the car that he said, okay, he took, as compared to what he has done for all the periods in the
Mr.
14
Doedeh,
months.
you do not want to make that justification. Mr. Doedeh,
No, it's not justification. I'm telling you, listen.
Hold
No,
on,
it's not
Mr.
just.
Doedeh. Hold
It's
on,
not
Mr. Doedeh.
justification. I'm coming. Hold on. I'm coming. It's not justification.
Hold on,
No,
Mr.
I'm
Doedeh.
coming.
Hold on.
I'm coming. No, Anthony, I'm coming. It's not
Mr. Doedeh,
justification. It's
I'm the
listen. No,
moderator.
let me
Please
land.
hold on.
Let me land. 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 It's not a justification. What I'm telling you is that as a supporter, Dillion will take to Dillion. We talk to Dillion with respect to if he did something wrong, we tell him straight in the face. And he's willing to have a dialogue with respect to what has happened. He's willing to admit his wrong that he admitted. So it's no strange thing. I said he should have turned the car over, and I stand by that up to this day. So, but he to provide justification, I can't go in like and force the car out of him. Notwithstanding, does it overshadow what Dillion has done in the Senate? I'm just squeezing that in. I'm not saying justification.
That is what I'm telling you to hold on. And I'm trying to tell you, you do not want to do that when you are campaigning for the candidate. What Dillion did, he ate his own words. It was a huge political minus. Any attempt to justify it or to give any reason.
But Anthony, that's not a matter though.
You are trying to say that, let look at what he's done. I give you a chance to speak. Allow me to speak, Doedeh, please.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
You are saying that what is true is wrong, but look at what he's been able to do and compare that with the political manners of taking a car. You will agree that, let me land, Doedeh, please, let me land.
Go ahead.
You will agree that what he's done supersedes the manners that he had. So my interpretation or my understanding is that it's okay. Either way, Mr. Doedeh, you are
no. That's
I no. Hold on.
Okay, no. Come here. But that's how I'm coming.
Here that you were direct on your Facebook post. You said
yes.
Darius Dillion was wrong for taking the car. You maintain that he should take the car, and if you stay that way, you'll be doing yourself justice, and you did justice to the man you support by telling him the right thing. Don't attempt to even justify anything.
No. Listen, no. I'm coming. No. But you're not getting me, Anthony. You're not getting me. Let me come right. You're not getting me on this subject. I have said, and to this day, I'm retain that I think you should have get the keys and turn the car over. Right? We're not going back on that. What I'm saying to you is that from the period that the car issue happened, and we gotta be honest about the discussion here. From the time the issue happened up to this point, did they taking the car, in my opinion, was a good thing? Absolutely not. From that time to this time, has a car issue and to the thing that he has done, I said helped him or not. You can tell the difference. Dillion, what he has done from the car issue up to this point, there have been more successes, there have been more issues that he's done compared to the car issue. I'm not justifying that. I have my position very clear on that. I'm just saying to you that Dillion has done a lot of good things. That he has done a lot of good things that is bringing people up to this point understands that the issue of the car, that bring who even took issue with him today are supporting his candidate because understand that he stays. He's a better candidate. He's a better candidate in the Maserado than any other person. Even all the candidates around the country, he's a better candidate of all the candidates, particularly in Maserado County.
Thank you. Let me progress. Let us not reduce these things to car issue only, but I was trying to evaluate your candidate on the issue of you saying something and keeping your words.
He has always kept his words. He has always kept his word.
There's a manners there. But let's come to another issue. What we see as a culture in the national legislature is a man or woman gets elected by his people. Then we see flocks of the person's family in his or her office, our staffs, and this has contributed to our lawmaker being very much ineffective. What difference has Darius Dillion made in this regard? Who are the people he has in his office that are helping to make his work easier compared to other lawmakers?
Again, first time in the history of the country, to see the configuration of Dillion's office staff. Listen, Anthony, I would say this. If I take issue with you, and I know that, like I said, you're not a sin. You may have your excesses. But if I see your excesses, far less than, your good intentions, I'll give you a props. I gave you the opportunity. I gave you the opportunity. I gave you the chance. Dillion is the only person in the history of the country, again, that has demonstrated in terms of the configuration of his office. In the first time in the history of the country, for a Dillion office staff to have a disabled in his office, Zaw Gibson in his office, and he takes all of the political parties who make him a senator and Liberians. His office was a mix or it's a configuration of people from different backgrounds, professional, disabled, educate. You name it, policy makers. So if you check, you go in your office, they don't even have a single relative in your office. In his office,
thank you.
Doesn't have a single relative. Professionals.
That comes to the issue of temperament. The temperament of any candidate, matters because people get so emotional and they tend to say things that can either ruin their political career or sometimes this may have, ripple effects on the people that they represent. Dillion has been talking, and I have seen outbursts here and there. One, when Dillion encountered a female voter somewhere in Monserrato who tried to bring to his attention about a neighbor who has Hagate fire, after the lady has made repeated attempts for Darius Dillion to make a commitment, when Dillion realized that the woman would not stop, he expressed his emotion by saying, "That is not my responsibility." That was one. Number two, when Dillion got unhappy about his campaign being attacked somewhere in the Popo Beach area, not Popo, St. Paul Beach area, Dillion came out and he said that we will not allow that to happen again in this time. Thomas Fala will never have any other event without my supporters disturbing it. I, the general, I will lead them. We will throw stone. If it means that we go to the president's house, we'll stone the president convo. Tell me if that is the temperament that a leader should have to deserve re-election.
Well, let me tell you this. We all are human beings, right? We have our soft spot. We have our bad side. We have, we all humans. We all make mistakes. We all, say things and then we kind of say, oh look, this is what I did. It's wrong. The good side is that as a leader, what makes you a good leader is your ability to realize that you made errors, you made mistakes, and you go back and correct the mistakes. Okay. And so that is what Dillion, as a human being and as a leader, as a good leader, has done always. But let me go to the first instance that you cited. Listen, I'm sitting here. There are going to be mistakes along the way. Even if Dillion was elected tomorrow, that Dillion still going to make mistakes. He's going to be mistakes because why? He's a human being. All right. And like I always said, Dillion is not a sin. Nobody should put Dillion in a box that is a sin because he advocated for all of those things that are good in the interest of the country. Or that he's saying something that resonates with the country. So people should not take it as one angel that is sitting right there that is not going to make any mistake. No, he's a human being. He's going to make mistake. But if he makes the mistakes, is he willing to correct the mistakes? Absolutely yes. He has always done that. On the issue of that, he made a mistake. He went back to her and apologized. On the issue of the Thomas Fala issue of the stealing the president's vehicle, listen, he also apologized. But let me say this: it makes you're in a country where one man is being chased, one man is being supporters being strewn all over the place. Police are standing over there. There's partisan police standing doing nothing about it. And the man is being strewn all over the place. He goes. He got to be smoked out of the place by security and all those things. And what if he had gotten killed? What if somebody had gotten killed and some of the people had gotten wounded in the process? Nobody say anything. We also had the issue with Taylor Ure in District 15. Okay, nothing. We all here. We see investigation after investigation, violence after investigation, violence after violence from the CDC, and nobody's Patrick Sidu and all the security people over there do nothing about it. As a result of that, the whole country remains vulnerable. Everybody's scared. Look at what happened just quite recently in Cape Town. All right? What a CPP candidate, car got burned, the house got burned, and put a blaze. Okay? So if you see these things, listen, you're a human being, you'll be angry. You'll be angry.
and you say things out of this out of the window that you know that you better you would not have said. But the thing out of
Mr.
anger,
Doedeh,
I come here out of anger, I come here
so
out of
maybe
anger,
your
I
candidate,
come here, no,
so
I come
maybe
here out
your
of anger.
candidate should think before he speaks sometime.
No. Listen, listen. In the moment that human being, I yes, I have said something. In the moment, so I think. But when the issue comes about, so I don't think I say it before I even because I said it. So we're all human beings. So now even our homes who do something, we don't say that. Oh yeah, why you did so? If you're surprised that Anthony did it, why you did that?
All right,
They're
thank you.
surprised. So the fact is that we are human beings. We make mistake, but whenever they don't make the mistake, whenever he makes a mistake, he comes back and apologize, make an extended apology to whatever mistake that he has made. So that's just answer the question. So he's a human being. You all want a mistake beyond the senatorial election, beyond the point you're going to make a mistake, and he's going to stay and acknowledge the fact. And that's a hallmark of a good leader.
Thank you so much. Focus on Liberia here, Primetime Sunday, special edition of our show. We are in conversation with Mr. Abraham Doedeh. Mr. Doedeh is a supporter of Darius Dillion. He's here today on our invitation, and he's making the final pitch for Senator Darius Dillion, now candidate Darius Dillion. We have a CDC supporter here yesterday, supporter for Thomas Fala, Mr. Macaulay Wule. He did similar thing, and here Focus on Liberia. We try to play it fair. Let's come to some national issues. Let's talk about dual citizenship. Some people believe Dillion has been back and forth on the issue. Where does he stand now?
Dillion has not been back and forth on the issue. Dillion has made a position very clear, very clear. In fact, Dillion voted for the bill. So nobody can be saying that, oh, Dillion is not clear. He's baffling the issue. Dillion have been very clear on the issue. Dillion have made a position very clear on the issue. Okay, Dillion have said to his supporters, he has said when he came to the states here, Dillion made it very clear. Dillion said, listen, I support the referendum. I support dual citizenship, but I support it with
restrictions.
Yeah, restrictions.
His fellow Liberians, many of them left the country because of a brutal civil war.
No.
And he's trying to. He agreed to the restriction.
No, Antonio, listen. Let people be honest about it. They dual citizenship debate. It's not about people. Some of the diaspora want to go back home, right? We want to do the investment back home. So it's not about people trying to be sentimental or they buy empathy out of this whole dual citizenship. That's the issue. Everybody in America here, we work in other places. There are certain positions that we're not eligible to have in our offices, but we work. I work in an office where I'm not allowed to carry certain positions until I become citizen. Even when I'm citizen, I'm still not allowed to have that. I'm a project expert. The fact is,
but in that case, Abraham, let me inject this in. You are a foreign national in Liberia. We are Liberians. The law is restricting you from contesting to be senator.
No. He said, listen,
to be a president. And
but listen, no. But you got it wrong. The fact is that if you come to America and you take up American citizen, you no longer you are American citizen. So if you're going back to Liberia, you are a Liberian citizen. That means you owe two allegiance to America, allegiance to Liberia. If Liberia consider the dual citizenship is passed, that means you are a citizen of dual countries of America and Liberia. Now, if you're a citizen of America and owe allegiance to America, and you go to Liberia and you want to become president, that's completely different. No president Kamala Harris. She's a citizen of America. She's not a citizen of India. So if she has citizenship of India and this was citizen of America, she would not have been a vice president of America. So we got to be clear. People understand it should not buy sentiment into this citizenship. We want to go home. We want to go home. We want to contribute. We want to be part of the process in Liberia, but we have to be honest about the dual citizenship in the country. We have to understand that, listen, in as much as we want to go and contribute, if you take an American citizenship, the restriction that Dillion are talking about, there are certain positions in the country you have to be restricted by. And for me, I'm clear. I'm very clear with that. You cannot be citizen of America. Let me just end. There's a sensitive issue, right? This issue is critical. We had a debate on the whole thing about 2 days ago. We cannot and we should not see Liberia as some place that should accept anything. We are Liberians in the diaspora. We want dual citizenship. But if we take on other foreign national citizenship and want to go back home, we can. But if we go and want to participate, there has to be restriction, just as it is in America and other places.
So, do you
that's
believe
what
what
you
are saying? Do you really believe what you are saying? Do you
I
believe
do.
in your right mind that if I, Anthony, say obtain citizenship, when I show up in Grand Crew County, where I'm from, the citizen of Grand Crew will tell me, you know, our son, when they and myself were climbing into the palm trees and swimming into the rivers, they will tell me, Anthony, say that you are now a citizen and so you should not be a superintendent of this country. This is completely different. Let me give you
No, no,
something
no,
here.
no, no, no.
The
No,
state of Israel, hold on. The state of Israel, from
Mhm.
my research, has no
Right.
restriction on citizenship for its citizens that
Mhm.
people of his citizen, people have citizenship of Israel, whether they acquire citizenship in other country when they want to go back to Israel to contest, to be elected or appointed into any position, there is no restriction. Nothing
Right.
has happened to Israel. These
Right.
people argument have been, oh, when we make you maybe a senator or president, the fact that you have allegiance, you will be able to do something against the interests of Liberia. It has not happened. So this
Okay.
restriction is unfair.
Okay, Anthony, I wanted to address the second part of it, but you didn't give me a chance. For me, I believe there should be restriction. But there's some of the restrictions that I read, there has to be discussed because even on the issue of a superintendent of a county, I don't think it should be a restriction. On the issue of a deputy minister or assistant minister, and it's a restriction. When it comes to minister for key ministries in Liberia, when it comes to vice presidents or the president in the presidency and the vice president, there has to be restriction.
All right.
Or there has to be restriction. So for me, I'm clear on it. But there has to be restriction in particular areas, not just across, like a superintendent or maybe deputy minister, assistant minister, or director. So no, that's why for me I'm clear on. But listen, Anthony, we gotta be clear. In America here, there are positions that we can't. Even if you get citizenship in America, there are positions that you are not allowed to have. You gotta get security clearance. You gotta have this. You gotta have that. So let me be honest about the issues of Liberia.
What you are saying is that we are talking about natural born citizen like yourself. I mean, I don't know, it's politics. Do you, in your right mind, agree that it makes logical sense for you, Abraham Doedeh, a natural born Liberian who moved to the U.S. few years ago? If you acquired U.S. citizenship, you can't go back to Liberia to be appointed minister of defense. Does that make sense to you? Do you think
it makes? Listen, I come here, Anthony. It makes for me. To me, it makes absolutely sense because you set an example that you come from your village, you went to your palm together, you call palm nut together, everything else, and you left from there, and went back there and so forth. When you left from your village and came to America and you took an American citizenship, you were not claiming palm tree. You have certain levels, there are certain classification information that you have at your disposal. There are certain norms that you have accustomed to, and all of those things. If you go back to Liberia and they want to appoint you to be vice president or president, we have to look at the law. The respect to Anthony wants to be vice president of Liberia. Now he says in America, does it compromise Liberia's security apparatus security, or are we saying that we have to have an honest conversation about that? We can't just sweep under the carpet because of Liberia. Absolutely not.
Let me progress, and I maintain my disagreement, and this is my personal opinion that these restrictions are unacceptable because they are talking about Liberians who are natural born Liberians are equally being denied these rights that are ascribed enshrined in our constitution as the rights for Liberians.
And before as you make a conclusion, let me just conclude with just a few sentences. While it is true that I support the process of restriction, but I think the restrictions that are put there, some needs to be looked at, and that for the good of the country, because at the end of the day, it's about Liberia and Liberia security. If Liberia reaches a point where we know that, yes, we can, we can look at it since Liberia is so safe to the point where we know we are knowledgeable and the country is in a good footing and there's no need for restriction, we can remove that. But until then, we reach that point, I just think it's important for to put some restriction into place and not just leave Liberia just as a floodgate and say everybody come. So when you come from America, you come. No, it's not just for America. There are other countries around the world who got all kind of different networks of people who work in different institutions. They can't just go to Liberia and take on Liberia security apparatus. They can't just go to Liberia and become different minister or become minister of finance. Why if they are sophisticated in money laundering? All the kinds of things. It's not just only unique to America. We can look at other countries because if you open that floodgate, you're not just talking about only America, you're talking about other countries around the world who have criminal networks, who people, Liberians are working in a different criminal networks. They can go back home and become whatever they want to become and put the country security at risk. We have to look at these things and not just say, oh, because you want to deny us and you want to deny us. No.
Let's go to other issues. There are a lot of issues that go to other issues. I'm very opinionated on this for some reason.
Okay.
And we have to get.
And which is good. It's good for our democracy. It's good for our democracy. It's good for that.
Let's get to other issue because Liberians in Liberia calling American citizens, we contribute to the country more than they do financially. We are spending over $500 million. Sometimes
that's absolutely true.
Budget, and they are saying that we're not good enough. But let's leave it there. Let's be progress. Let's go to this issue of confirming presidential nominees. Senator Dillion as a senator now and now candidate and wishing for re-election. Tell me, what will he be looking for in any appointee sent to the Senate for confirmation? What are the qualities that he will be looking for to vote, to confirm, or what would he not like to see in anybody for which he will vote to reject?
And again, it brings the same question again. This guy, Dillion, has just been exceptional, and I just love the guy, and that's why Liberians love the guy. Listen, since the man got there, I don't know if you can remember, but as far as my memory can serve me right, I have never seen where is the Senate deny people in most recent time. I'm talking about saying he got in power before they don't went to the Senate. Because before they didn't went to the Senate, I've never seen a history where the Senate, Liberian Senate deny, confirmation of people. I'm not saying that. I may be wrong. But since Dillion went in the Senate with two Zolizo, he was also, he was denied, that, and a couple of persons were denied in the Senate. Today, Dillion, the kind of level of where he carries in the Senate, the level of transparency he carries in the Senate. Today, when people who are nominated, when they're going for confirmation, they know exactly what they're going for. They know that when I'm going to the Senate for confirmation, I better go right. I better make sure I don't carry any false information or whatever. I better make sure that what I'm doing, what I'm doing, will serve the good interest of the country. So Dillion being in the Senate has brought so much dignity to the Liberian Senate because people who are confirmed, not just confirmed on the basis of what the president wants, what the executive wants, but that person is confirmed on the basis of their own qualification and what they mean for the Liberian people, what they're going to do. But in the case of Zolizo, his Facebook page got in trouble. So we know that he was not confirmed because all that he said on Facebook. So that was, of course, Dillion and other candidates other nominees who went to the Liberian Senate. So you see, one person, the light that he carries in the Senate, have been able to spotlight bad candidates or bad nominees who the president wants to go through the Senate. The only reason why Doedeh has not been put out of the LCC is because George Weah doesn't want it. George Weah say that's his own man, and on no way he can be removed from LCC. So Doedeh is over there and he enjoying the goodwill of the pressure of the president.
All right, folks in cyberspace following us here at Focus on Liberia, there is a number on the screen. If you call that number is 605-313-6004 and you enter the code 719-403#, you will join the conversation. If you have a comment to make, if you have a question for my guest, Mr. Abraham Doedeh, you will be given the opportunity to do so. I have just opened the phone line. It is about time for you to call. But before I bring you in, I have a final question for Mr. Doedeh. Mr. Doedeh, at the end of all the talking, there is something the Liberian people want. There is something that our country needs. And not only something, there are a lot of things our country need. And
Right.
those things, we can't get them without the money. That brings me
Right.
to the budget.
Right.
Give me a better understanding in terms of percentages, knowing that we have a $500 million budget for the most part. What percentage would Darius Dillion see for education, for healthcare, in
You
order for
know,
him to vote for
okay,
that budget?
okay, I don't want to get in the senator head. I don't want to be hypothetical. I don't want to, put our figure out there just for the sake of putting our figure out there.
Okay.
Right? But let me answer the question this way.
All right.
I think and Dylan is a very meticulous guy. He reads very well. He knows exactly the budget. He knows what he wants. He knows exactly how to go about the issues. So what I can say is that if the budget is, if he gets, of course, come while the nine when he's become senator, and the budget process is on the way, he certainly will be able to look at all the issues, especially health, core issues, health, education, security, infrastructure. Those issues, and social services. Those issues will be given priorities. He himself, who talk about those issues, will be given priority because he understands that there is no democracy. There is no democracy that if there is no system, there is no country. You can't build a country without a system. You can't have a country without a system. And if you have a system, and each of these budget line items, are put in a structure in a way that it reflects the people's interest, then it becomes a budget that it becomes a budget that resolve all of the issues that needs to be resolved. All right, our people don't have healthcare, don't have social services in the country, there's no good education in the country. All of those things, it will happy when you take 80% of the budget and you go give it go do what do you call just pay salaries and to ministers and assistant ministers and directors, and the president takes 11 million, McGill takes 9 million, and all those kinds of things. So we have to direct the money in 7 areas that reflect the people's interest: healthcare, education, social services, infrastructure. All of those issues can be addressed through the national budget. And so what I can tell you is that Dillion will look at the issues very critically and make sure reasonably figures are attached to the business service and to different budget line items that be able to reflect the interest of the Liberian people.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Abraham Doedeh, a strong supporter of Abraham Darius Dillion, that is candidate Abraham Darius Dillion. He's here to make the final push for his candidate. And for your information, Abraham Doedeh is a former leader of the Student Unification Party, from my understanding, from the University of Liberia. Mr. Doedeh, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, let me bring in my caller and give you a little break. And as they ask the question, please take notes so that you can be able to respond to them after they ask those questions. Folks in cyberspace, it's about time for you to put in your calls here. We will take them, and Mr. Doedeh will answer them as well. Let me take my first caller here. My first caller here is William Davis, I want to believe. Mr. Davis, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Quickly to the issue.
Hello.
Yes, hello, Mr. Davis. Give me a little volume. Welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
I just want to make a comment. Actually, it's not a question.
Okay.
But I just wanted to add to what your guest was saying. So if you could, with your kind indulgence, if you could just give me less than a minute, I just want to go over the 3 points, which is very crucial that you are talking about.
Okay.
That the number one has to do with you're talking about issue of bills, and the question you asked the guest, well, how many bills has Mr. Dillion passed while in the Senate? And one thing you should realize is that an individual senator cannot pass a bill. That's number 1 point. he can write the bill. But if the speaker or whosoever is in charge do not bring that bill on the floor for debate, that bill will be dead on arrival. That's number one. So you should take note of that. And also your audience. And then number two, you talk about promises that Dillion may work on, whether he has kept his promises. The car issue, when the car was issued, a $40,000 car, Dillion rejected the car. If you can go back, he rejected the car. He said he needed a car that is less than that. He said no. As a senator, these are the criteria. Those are the cars that are issued to, government officials. So being a government official, this was not a private car to Mr. Dillion, but rather it was an official car. That's point number two. And then point
Mr.
number three,
that is laughable. No, the Senate can't force Dillion to use any car. So that is laughable. Go ahead.
But that's the car they issue. We can't debate on that. That's the car they issue him. They never gave him money to go buy a car.
But they didn't force
the
him
government
to use it.
issued the car to him.
There's no law that compels him to use it.
Okay, but if you don't use the car, then what car will he use? You have to walk to go to work?
Car. Maybe he could have done that.
Okay, politics is, okay, let's forget about the politics. I'm looking at it, at the factual fact about that. Okay, point number three, you talk about whether he had a temperament because he made some remarks, all kind of thing. The remarks that you're talking about the lady was like a provocation. Somebody's house got burned, and then the lady was asking as to whether Dillion could help in order to substantiate or to help with some financial fund to rebuild the house. So Dillion's first comment was that, look, if I help this lady, it's not my job to do that. What about if number two house got burned? Do I have to do it? He said no. He said, I want you guys to vote me in so that I can create, let's say the opportunity whereby when those things happen, there will be, government will have things in place to take care of those people. That's point number three there. The last point, let me talk on it, which is very important, talk about the dual citizenship. One thing is lacking in that conversation was that no Liberian or other foreigner in any part of Europe that is forced to be a citizen of that country. I've been in America for 20 years, okay? And now it is my choice to be an American citizen. But once you raise your hand and then you pledge your allegiance to the American Constitution, you are no longer Liberian.
Thank you.
That's number one. And then number two, as the brother just said, let me close on this thing. Even if you are an American citizen, as a naturalized citizen, because I work on a government contract job. If you go and then you do your paperwork.
Mr. David, if
you go do your paperwork.
There are people waiting. Thank you. Let me bring in my next caller or caller with phone number ending in 8164. Quickly to the issue. You have a minute.
Yeah, Mr. Sai, good afternoon, and good afternoon, Brother Abraham in studio with you.
Good afternoon.
My name is Muslim Vani, calling from Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. My question to Brother Abraham has to do with the change that he's talking about Mr. Dillion. My question here, Brother Abraham, to you, when you talk about change, especially Liberia, you said Dillion came in and bring change. My question here, if somebody, a certain senator, that inciting violence in our country, that's supposed to be a role model to the young people or to our people, that telling the young people that yes, we'll carry rocks, we'll pull gun when gun time come. We tell the Liberian people that we tell them where we take gun from. If a certain senator is portraying this to the young people of our country or telling our people in Liberia this type of statement, is that a fair statement to the Liberian people or to the young people of our country? And then two, my last question has to do with, can you please be honest and straightforward to tell the Liberian people that your candidate you're talking about in question, that you think going to bring the change to the Liberian people? Can you be honest and tell us his qualification, his education level? Thank you.
Thank you. Let me take this final one, Mr. Doedeh, and he can respond to those.
Okay.
Anthony Doe, quickly to the issue. You have a minute.
Hey, Brother C and Brother Abraham, good afternoon to you guys. I'm calling you from Atlanta, Georgia.
How you
Here's
doing?
the thing. I don't have a question. I don't have a question for Brother Abraham. I have a comment.
Okay.
I'm a team Dillion, and what I want to say to that caller that just called, education, when he talk about qualification, I really don't understand the Liberian scenario when it comes to education. Are you talking about the various degrees in school that we go through? Is that what he's talking about? Mr. Dillion, our senator, the diaspora and Liberian people's senator, is educated to Liberia politics. And the reason we behind Dillion is, like Brother C was asking Brother Abraham as to what Dillion would do when he entered the house, is Dillion is saying the things that would benefit the ordinary people. Look at, for example, Brother Abraham was talking about healthcare. The senators, the representative, the president, they all have health benefits. The ordinary Liberian people don't have health benefits. You can work for one company in Liberia. You don't have to have benefits. You don't talk about that.
Thank you.
So these are the reasons for which we want more Dillion in the House of Senate. And when we get more Dillion and we set up a system that benefits all of us, at the end of the day, all these politicians, we don't have to sing Kumbaya to them before we get our fair share of the national cake.
Thank you, Mr. Doe. Thank you, Mr. Doe. That one was not a question. So, Abraham, let me take this one. This one is from Sam Gibson.
Yes, hello.
Mr. Gibson is joining us from France. And Mr. Gibson, I want to remind you, you have 1 minute, and I know you don't have a good understanding of me. So I'm going to be very straight with that 1 minute. You have 1 minute, sir.
Thank you very much. Yes, I just want to tell the CDC parties to turn up tomorrow and Tuesday and defeat the CPP. Well, from the launching today or the closing of the CPP campaign, I can confidently say that CDC has won these elections, and it's going to be a serious victory. The first program was on today. I wanted to talk to your host, but he did not give the chance. He was asking for T5 tangibles. Now, I don't know whether this guy is following the politics in Liberia. T5 has a great school. T5 have more than 5,000 students on scholarship. Even the document they don't posted the other day during the debate, T5 have 400 students on that sheet that they don't brought. So those are the tangible. Tiva got a clinic that is running. Tiva had just completed his university. Even if the university is in Tiva names or all those, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Yeah. All right, Mr. Doedeh, please respond to.
Okay. Let me start with it. Let me start with the last caller. Well, first and foremost, let me tell the callers thank you for tuning in and asking the questions and so forth. So, listen. The last caller, he doesn't understand that Thomas Fowler have been over there for 15 good years. But Thomas Fowler cannot point to one infrastructure in the interest of the people of his district. I'm not talking about his personal self. All I'm talking about is talking about the university, this clinic, the radio station. It's for T5. And who pay him to build those things? Taxpayer. He uses taxpayer money to build those things. So that if he leaves as he's going to get defeated on Tuesday, those things will be his property. The people who are running the school are his relatives. Where the money goes in a bank account. It doesn't go to the ordinary citizen of Liberia. It goes to his bank account. So when people are talking about the man has built this one, what has he built for the district and the people of Liberia? Nothing. Zero. All that he owns over there, T5 this, T5 that, is his personal T5 property. He leaves office tomorrow, is his personal property, his retirement money. Out of who? Out of whom? The taxpayer. So people need to understand that. T5 has not been anything for Liberian people. Say it's been over 15 years. So the last guy, you need to understand that. He needs to understand it's not about CDC, it's about the system. Dillion is advocating for the system to work for Liberian people. On the last color, on the other color, listen, Dillion is not a sin. I will always say that. But he brings something completely different to our body politics. And if you are a Liberian, and you are honest about the country, and you love Liberia, you will embrace the law and say, listen, I will ride with this guy, I will support this guy, so that at least for once, Liberians in Liberia and the country itself can have a sense of dignity once more. That is what we are fighting for. All of us here, do you know why they don't get all the support around the country, around the US, all around the world, England, France and other places? Because Liberians are tired. Liberians who have relatives back home, they are tired. They understand that, listen, they understand that they've gone through hell. So as a result, when you see one person who is saying, let's do this for the system to work, so that you don't have to watch them in day long before people can be able to get a stimulus package. You don't have to watch them in before, before you benefit as a Liberian from your own tax dollar, or before somebody bring rule in your community. No, you only have to be a Liberian. When you're a taxpayer, you're a Liberian, you benefit from your country. When you get old, you benefit from your country. It's the only country where you retire or you get old in your old age, you don't even know where your next meal will come from. You don't know where your next daily bread is going to come from. Because if you don't have anybody in America or in Europe to send you a little copper or send you a little money, you're not going to survive. That's the only country. Why can't we bring some level of dignity to labor to our old folks and our people in Liberia? And that is what Dillion is fighting for. That make the system work so they can work for everybody.
I know you speech, but Liberia is not the only country. Listen. When
a country, I'm talking about on the scale from 1 to 10, the country that suffers most and that don't have any system in place, 7 right here. 7 got a system. Ghana got a lot of system in place. Okay, Guinea got a lot of system in place. Liberia doesn't have one system in place. Not one. Maybe one system Liberia has in place. We don't.
Well, I thought we have Social Security Administration. Are people not getting their
Come on, man. What are you talking about? Listen, my dad passed a couple of months ago. My dad passed a couple of months ago. I tell you for a fact, well, you can get money from Social Security. Look, Anthony, it's not about your relative or my brother or whatever, or you got contact to Social Security, you cost money there, oh, my father passed, you need to get Social Security benefits. So no, that is system work. Social Security is doing better, but it need to do it need to be holistic. It need to be a system that works for everybody, not just one person, or not just two person, or not just relationship to the president or the vice president or the senator or the representative, but for the whole Liberian population, so that everybody can have a taste of the national cake and understand that they live in a sovereign and democratic state that needs to take care of the welfare of its people.
Thank you.
Lastly, I just want to call on every Liberian in the diaspora. Call your relatives, call your friends, call your family members. Tell them that the ADD, Darius Dillion, Tuesday, when they go into the polls, they make sure to get their marks, because when they go to the poll, the CDC people are determined to deny them to voting. So while you carry a mask with you, carry your water, don't wear shoes, carry your slippers, carry your low scoopy or whatever, wear it because you're going to be in the line long. Make sure you get up early at 5 o'clock and go to the polls and vote. Call your relatives, call your family members, call all your friends. Let them go to the poll early and vote. And when you vote, make sure you stay on the line, or you go eat, come back. Because they intend to cheat. If they cheat, we'll stay right there and be able to make sure that we kind of vote right there. So I want to say thank you for the opportunity, and thanks to every Liberian, all your relatives, all your friends. Let them know that ADD is the choice for Liberia, for a democratic, prosperous country called Liberia, and a prosperous Senate, a good Senate. Thank you very much.
That was Abraham Doedeh. Let me read comments and then we can close this broadcast. He has already given his closing comment there. I see Wissing Kamal is watching. I see a friend here. That is Joseph Taman Jackson. Now he's in Liberia. He's watching. Joe, I hope you're doing safe down there. Matthew Jorah, why are you guys? Hey, I don't know if I should. I think he meant to say, why you guys kept referring to these criminals as lawmakers? Propo Prince, right? Seditionists need to know that they have screwed up and no longer have the masses. They need to accept this and stop forcing it. Finish your 3 years and just pack and go. And this one is from Francis Beer. It took me a few days to understand the corrupt portion of the referendum regarding dual citizenship for natural-born Liberians. From the way I see it, we have been denied from our rights. I see it that way, my friend. Matthew Josh Wright, no lawmaker should be making 9K a month. It's outrageous. Sam Waller, somebody who follows us here religiously, the fact is the salaries of lawmakers, of legislators have been public for years. Every year it's available. Dillion was not the first to make that public, and that's the case. He's making proper prints again. Why I am watching is simply a disgrace to the CDC government after wasting the country's resources to run campaign whole year. This one is from Habinka. Our Liberian Obama will change the rest of the senators and representatives. This one is from Vanny Wright. We knew how much senators were making in Liberia. You discuss the real issues. He writes. I see Abby Tyler, a follower focus on Liberia. Mr. Ambassador Roosevelt S. Dan is watching. Orita Davis. That's it for comments. I see a sister here. That is Yasini Martin Kwe is watching. Thank you all for watching. Mr. Doedeh, I know you made your closing statement. I don't want you to add anything to that. That was
I would certainly love to add. Having listened to the comments, I would certainly want to add a little chip in.
Okay, then I will let you to wrap it all in a minute, and then we can close the broadcast. Go ahead.
Yeah, listen, man. So, hey, Anthony, again, I want to say thank you for the opportunity. It's good. And thank you for all that you do for FOL, and Liberians. It's good for our people to be educated in the diaspora and in Liberia, knowing the issues and all those kinds of things. So, thank you for the opportunity again. Like I said, Liberia, is a unique country. We all love Liberia, even though in different areas, but we love Liberia and want to see a better country. So we just hope that every Liberians here in the diaspora can go out there and call, the relatives and the friends, and vote Tuesday, go and exercise a democratic right, vote and Darius Dillion, but exercise a democratic right is important for our democracy and for our country, and go out there. And we just hope that everybody go out there and be peaceful. There's been no violence. Make sure you go out and be peaceful, because we all got to keep the peace. It's important. Our country have gone through so much crisis. We cannot afford to slaughter each other just because of the elections. We have to go out there and be peaceful and embrace each other, but at the same time be able to exercise our democratic right and vote for the candidate of our choice. And so go out there and vote for Darius Dillion and vote Darius Dillion. Thank you very much and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Mr. Abraham Doedeh, for honoring our invitation. We wish you and your candidate well in the election, and we hope that Mr. Dillion will win or lose. We hope that
I hope you call back again for the after victory commentary.
Certainly we can do that, folks. In cyberspace, this is what I have for you. My role is simple. Like you, I want a better Liberia. And so in my role, I ask Eastside questions specifically on the issues they are not doing well on, where they're performing poorly. That way I direct my questions, my goal, so that they can do better. Because when they do better, Liberia get on that very good path that we all want. But some people don't understand it. Why are you asking those questions? Because they see me to be an opposition or government person. When I'm asking questions about things that are negative on each side, they see me in a different jacket. I'm not. I'm no position. I try to play the role of the guy who asks the tough questions so that we can have a better Liberia. Folks, we're going to leave you with a song, and that song says, we are all Liberians. Whether you are a position or no position or opposition, whatever you are, whether you support the CPP candidate or not, whether you support the CDC candidate or not, you are a Liberian. In this election, we want a peaceful election. Our democracy is young, others will argue, and so we need to be able to keep it going in a very peaceful manner. Thank you for watching. On behalf of Focus on Liberia, this is how we'll close the broadcast. But enjoy that song that said we are all Liberians. Enjoy it, and bye-bye.
We are Liberians.